Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Lessons Learned by Unica this morning. I was thinking to myself, what in my life I feel that could really benefit you all out here this morning. And one thing I have thought about this morning is, as you can tell by the title, is working 1099 versus a W 2 worker. I worked as a W 2 worker for at least 15 years of my life. And then I have been working as a 1099 worker, which means I'm self employed, for the last almost 23 years of my life. And I feel that the 15 years working as a W 2 worker and the 23 years working as a 1099 worker gives me some means of experience that I can probably help you all to see what are the pros and what are the cons for each one of them. So, first of all, let's start with the W 2 worker. A W 2 worker obviously is not self employed, they are considered an employee. The employer, one of the pros, or let's just talk about the pros. So, the employer of whom you work for, the one that employs you, being the employee, first of all, you're set. So, one of the pros is that you do get a consistent paycheck. Okay. So, you know that you're going to either be paid weekly, you're going to be paid monthly, you'll be paid bi weekly, or you'll be paid on the 15th and the 30th. You have consistent pay. That's a pro. Another pro is that you have benefits that's taken out of your check. You don't even have to think about it. You have health insurance benefits. Automatically, you have your Social Security taken out of your check. You have your federal taxes taken out of your check, as well as your state taxes taken out of your check. So you don't have to worry about paying extra in taxes at the end of the year because your taxes are already paid and taken out of each and every one of your checks so that you don't even have to think about it. Automatically, you learn to live off of the money or after tax dollars. Okay. So that's another pro. Another pro that I have found to be beneficial when you are an employee is that at the job that I worked for, we had what you call the 401k plan. All right, which is a retirement plan. And this particular retirement plan, at the time, our or my employee would match the contributions that we had put into the 401k. So if I put in 2000, they put in 2000. And that's on every single paycheck, okay? And so again, those are some of the benefits. The other benefit that we had is that we also had health insurance. Okay. So didn't have to worry about having to go out and pay a separate vendor for health insurance. All right. That's another benefit. Also, if I was off, maybe I'm sick or maybe I'm going on vacation, I was paid. I was paid for the time that I'm laying in my bed sick. Okay. I was also paid for the time that I went on vacation because I also had paid leave. Okay. So these are some of the pros of working as an employee. Now, what are some of the cons as working as an employee? Is that because you are an employee, if you wanted to take off work, you do have to ask somebody. You do have to put in a slip to request time off with your family, okay? Whether you're sick, whether you're going on vacation, no matter what it is, whether you just had a baby and your husband needs to stay with you or you need to go out for 6 weeks, then you have up under the Family Medical Leave Act, which is FMLA, you get to request time off, but sometimes that's just 6 weeks with a brand new baby and back to work after that, right? All right. So again, so you have to ask for time off. All right. And sometimes that's uncomfortable for some people. The other thing is that you are set to a certain number of hours. Even if you have flex time or even if you, whatever, if you do have flex time, you know that whatever you agree to on that flex time, you still have to be to work at that time. Okay. You do have to get up out of your bed. You have to get out of your pajamas and you have to leave your house if you're not a remote worker. Okay. All right. Now, here lately, I want to say they do have remote workers that can work from home now. Right. All right. But you still best be in front of that computer. Even if you work from home, right? So let's just say they say, okay, you got a meeting X happening, or sometimes they'll give you a task. You are going to have to be at least on the clock so somebody can see that you are working. So they may call you or have you to do certain things, um, that so that they'll know that you are there and you're actively working. There's some who do hybrid working where they go in some hours and then some of them may be at home. But either way, you are up under the uh, I don't want to say dominion, but you're up under someone else, all right, and you have to be on their schedule that they put you on, all right. The other con is, so it's two cons I mentioned there so far. Is one, you have to ask for time off, okay, and two, you're stuck to a particular time frame, solid time frame in which you have to work. All right. Now I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because certainly being disciplined is a good thing. But some people have, like I said, some people have flex schedules, but you still have to get that approved by your supervisor. All right. Another thing that can be a con is that your pay scale, okay, if you work for the government, they have a certain scale that you can scale up. Um, some jobs are actually capped as to how far you can go. Okay, so there's a cap sometimes on how far you can go, and then you got to look for another job if you want to get a promotion, right? Sometimes you can get one in that same industry or in that same, if you work for the government in that same agency, or if you work for private industry, maybe there's another job there that might be able to allow you to scale up if it's not secured by someone else on top of you. Okay. So it's kind of limitations as to how far you can grow and sometimes how much you can make within your title, your job title, right? You see, so to me, that's another con. All right. You have limitations on how far you can go. All right. Another thing is that sometimes you need a degree, all right, to be able to be in a certain financial status, in terms of if you want to make $100,000 or you want to make $200,000. Sometimes there's a cap on, or the requirements, should I say, on what you need to qualify for those kind of jobs. And a lot of times it is a 4-year degree. Sometimes it's an 8-year degree. All right. So you got your 4-year bachelor's, another 4 years for your master's. If you need to go higher than that, your PhD, you need more time. That's 12 years. Right. But along with that, another con comes student loans. Okay. So because you have to qualify in order to scale up, you need you need to have certain degrees, which come with certain education, which comes with student loans. If your family did not have the funds, or if you did not get a certain scholarship for that 4-year degree. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? Okay. Now you're under pressure to find a job that require, or at least makes the amount that you need to make to pay off that student loan debt. So now you are desperate, because as soon as you finish schooling, you're desperate to make sure you find that W-2 job, right, that can pay off this debt, right? But the point is that you needed to have that degree to get into a certain pay scale level. You see, to me, that's a con. Okay. I have to go through all of that to get this degree just to make 100,000 or to make 150 or to make 200,000. Okay. Which now has put me in substantial debt just so that I can be a W-2 worker making $200,000 or $150,000 along with all of this debt behind me. All right. So that's kind of, in other words, the requirements to work in the government at a certain price point has certain educational requirements and degrees to follow. All right. Which can lead you in a serious financial debt. Okay. All right. But in order to get those jobs, you have to have those degrees, is what I'm saying to you, for the as an employee. Okay. So those are some of the cons of being an employee. And another, I do want to mention one more though. Sometimes you have to be around people that you don't necessarily like, okay, as an employee. And I'm not saying that they like you, but I'm just saying that sometimes you have to be in environments that you don't necessarily like to be in. That's another con, okay? So now let's talk about being a 1099 worker, okay? First of all, why am I a 1099 worker? Okay? So I'm going to tell you, I loved my job. Okay? I loved working. At the time, I was working for Berkshire Mortgage Finance, which was a mortgage banking firm, and I worked in the underwriting department, and I also worked in their, I was, got more money and ended up working in their loan closing delivery coordinating job, where we processed loans for multifamily properties, also for commercial, which was retail, hotel, office, and industrial, and also for independent care facilities and nursing homes. Okay, so we did not do residential. Okay, so these were the loans that we processed. We did assumption loans, we did bridge loans, we did refinance loans. I do not remember us doing acquisition loans, but anyway, but these were some of the loans we did, and our customers were LLCs, general partnerships, GCs, LPs. These were LP is limited partnership, LLC is limited liability or limited liability corporation. All right, and then you get your general partners, right? So these were our clients, all right? Multifamily properties that we did were from 5 units up to thousands of units. So again, I was in the underwriting department, worked as a loan processor, and worked in the closing department as the loan closing delivery coordinator. And I truly enjoyed it. Got a lot of experience in the multifamily field. I worked around originators. I worked around loan underwriters. I myself was a processor. They wanted to promote me to being a underwriter, but I did not want to travel because at the time that job required that we travel to where the property is located. A lot of times it was in Texas and other places that were in the United States of America. But learned a lot. I loved it. Was there 10 years. But I got pregnant with my second child. And guess what? They gave me 5 months of maternity leave. Not 3 weeks, not 6 weeks. We had 5 months of maternity leave. Again, I'm talking about the pros of being a 1099 worker from my experience. Okay, so I enjoyed my job, as I just explained to you. I enjoyed the experience that I learned. I enjoyed the background. I enjoyed the people, that I worked with. Sometimes you always have some people that may not necessarily give you a great day, but I'm a positive person, so I try to make every day a great day. So like I told y'all in the other video, the difference between a good day and a bad day is and always will be your attitude, right? So for me, I knew what I was going to work for. I was focused. I'm not necessarily a people pleaser, but I love working for people in terms of helping you all out. As a 1099 worker, I enjoy that kind of thing. I enjoy serving people, right? But anyway, back to the point. So on the job, I enjoyed most of the people that were there. And even those who made it difficult, I still try to have a very good day, okay? The other thing that I enjoyed about my job is, like I said, the volume of experience that I was getting in this line of work. Because as you all, well, you don't know yet, but I was raised as in an environment as a property manager, and I will give you all that story one day, but I have not did a video on that yet. That's a very emotional video for me. So when the weather breaks and it gets good, I will do that video right in front of the property where I was raised. So you will get that. So again, I do enjoy real estate, whether it's in commercial, multifamily, residential. It's just next to my heart. Okay, so the point is, in this particular company, it just was down my alley. It was my niche. And what's funny about it, I didn't know it. I didn't know it until I got into it, right? I said, man, this is really, kind of bringing me back to where I started, So for me, that job was a lot of pros. The other thing, the pay. Because at the time, see me, I am, as you all have heard earlier, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I do enjoy serving my God in the heavens. And so that means that a part of my time is in the ministry. Another part of my time is working. So when I got this job, I was working part-time. I asked for part-time work. It was advertised as part-time work, but it included benefits. I had benefits for paid leave, for vacation, as well as sick leave. I also had that 401k plan that I was telling you all about, and my boss did match um, my input that I put into the 401k. That's what the company did. I also had health insurance, even though I was part time, right? And the job was really only a 30-minute to 45-minute drive to my work. I did have to drop off my daughter, of course, so that was another, hour to do that and then come to work. Um, so to me, that was some pros. It was also close to the metro, so in the event that my car broke down, I did have access to both the bus as well as the metro, so I can still get to work. And so I really enjoyed that job. Also, my pay was very good. Working a part time job and still, for me, getting good pay at that time was excellent for me. So I really enjoyed the job. I enjoyed my supervisor. We had a really good communication between the two of us. I felt like I can go to her about anything, and she would respect my thoughts, respect my opinion, because she felt like I was a good hard worker. I mean, hard workers, they do they're listened to a lot. Especially if you have the respect of your supervisor, or a lot of times they will listen to you. They will be flexible with you, understanding that you do have a family, right? So why am I a 1099 worker? Well, as I mentioned, so I got pregnant. I got pregnant after working there for 10 years. And like I said, they gave me 5 weeks of maternity leave. But because I was nursing my son, and I will do a video on that too, breastfeeding, I will do. So I nursed my son, and so he never took the bottle. So when I took him to the babysitter, even though we were paying her $200 a week at that time, we were paying her $200 a week, she still would call me every single day and say, Miss Shanika, could you please come and get your son and nurse him? Because I cannot take care of him and the other children with him screaming. He was screaming piercingly. Even though I had nursed and pumped milk, took my time to pump milk into bottles for her to feed him, and she's supposed to be a professional, but for some reason, the piercing of my son's cry just made her skin crawl, I imagine. He did have one of those cries, I have to tell you. I used to think when he was a child that he was going to break the window. I am not kidding. So I get it. But so I had to leave Bethesda and come to Capitol Hill every single day. Every single day. That was a 45-minute ride that I had to walk, because I had to walk to my job, then take the 30-minute subway ride. Then I had to walk from the subway to the daycare. Okay, nurse my son, be there for him for about 45 minutes, then go back to work, walk back to the subway, go back 30 minutes on the subway rail, then come back to my office every day after I just been off work for 5 months. So after that first month of doing that, I went to my supervisor and I said, I cannot do you all this way. I'm already working part-time. I've been here for 10 years, but I cannot do you all this way. I said, I'm going to need you all to fire me, right? And so they said, well, Miss Shanika, we can't fire you. And she said, because we need you. And I said, although I've loved working here, I've appreciated working here. It's been very important to me. I said, but when it comes between my son and my job, I said, my son is going to win out every time, so I'm going to have to resign. So that meant that I did not receive unemployment because I was not fired, right? So I had to leave that job. But I want to tell you all, I was prepared, because a year before that, I had obtained my real estate license. Okay, I had already had my real estate license. So I told let my husband know what happened, and I said, well, guess we're gonna have to now put this to work. So I went home, be with my son. I also had an older teenage daughter. At the time she was just teenager, because she's about 13 years older than my son. So she was 13, and then I had a new son. At this point he was about 6 months old. Okay, so that kind of gives you the backdrop at that time as I'm working in the real estate business. So when I first got my license, I had just got pregnant with my son. He was in my belly when I got my real estate license. Okay, give you a kind of idea. So that's how I started going 1099. Okay. Now, how has it been? So, what field am I in? As I mentioned, I got my real estate license, so that means I am a real estate agent. I am a member of the National Association of Realtors, where we follow certain ethics. And by being a member of the National Association of Realtors, you become what you call a realtor. If you are not a member of the National Association of Realtors, then you're not a realtor. Okay. So, how has it been? How has it been? All right. Oh, well. So, what we decided to do, my husband and I, we decided initially that we were going to do some investigating. We were going to dig for pre-foreclosure properties. We were going to dig for tax sale properties. We were going to dig for your properties that's not necessarily on the market to try to get a good deal. So I would do a lot of research, and we found properties that were at auctions. Most of them were at auctions for pre-foreclosure properties. And we found, as I mentioned on an earlier video, from I think it's on the one I think it's on the one from pre from foreclosure. Either it's on the one from foreclosure to making $100,000, or it's on the one that talks about. I don't think I put it on the one about how to make 100 deals. But anyway, it's on one of my other videos where I talked briefly about how we got this tax sale property. I think it was on that one from foreclosure to making 100,000 or making six figures. So it's probably on that one. But anyway, so that's how we would get these deals. All right. So we ended up getting, as I mentioned in that video, about 9 properties. All right. Including the one that we had. We had about 9 properties in the District of Columbia, and we got them for very good deals. That video explains everything. Okay. It explains everything. So you can go to that video and see what the nature of I explained every single property that we purchased. All right. So like I said, some of them we were able to flip and made a profit from it. All right. Some of them we held on to and had monthly rental income. All right. So I represented us as the real estate agent. Okay. So as a real estate agent, you are going to get a percentage of the commission. So how does that work? So let's say I'm gonna use $100,000, but trust and believe it, you're not buying anything in DC for $100,000. Okay, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So let's just use $100,000 for easy numbers. So let's just say that the commission or the compensation that I'm charging, and again, I'm not quoting any type of standard commissions. I'm just giving a number for all intents and purposes. Okay. So let's say that my compensation that my client has to pay me is 3%, whether that's the seller or whether that's the buyer. Let's just say that. And I'm not saying that is my number. I'm just giving you all a number to use. And let's say that the purchase price of the property is $100,000. Okay. So if you take 3% of $100,000, then you're going to come up with $3,000. Okay. For the company that I work for right now, I get paid 100%. So that means that I would walk away with $3,000, right? If the property value is $600,000, then you're going to take that 3,000 and multiply it times 6. And that would tell you I'm making 18,000, right? Okay. So you would take 3%, multiply it times 600,000. Okay. And it just goes up or goes down. Whatever your purchase price is, you multiply that compensation or that 3% times that amount. Now, if you have a split between you and your broker, right? The broker is people like Long and Foster. I work for Sampson Properties. These are the real estate brokers that you affiliate with as a real estate agent, and where your license has to hang. Okay. Some people have splits. So after the broker is paid from your closing, they split a portion with you if you have a split with them, whether that's 50-50, 70-30, 60-40, 80-20, 90-10. In my case, mine is 100. So I don't split anything with my broker. Okay. There's just a transaction fee that's paid by the client to my broker, but I don't pay anything. Go Sampson Properties. Go Sampson Properties. I got to give them their props. All right. So anywho, back to the point. So in this field, as we were closing these deals, if they were on the market, this is kind of what we would get paid. Okay. If it was in that $100,000 price point back then. Okay. All right. So if I'm representing myself for a property that's on the MLS, but if I'm buying it from the auction, that's not on the MLS. Okay. So then I'm not getting a compensation for that. Okay. So the way we made our money was from, like I said, flipping the property or from the monthly rental income. Okay. So I represented us, but I also represented other people. So who was my niche at that time? At the time, I was working with first time home buyers, which I enjoyed. I got to know about the down payment assistance programs in my area. I got to know about the various CBO offices, which we call the what does that C stand for? Something based organization. So we are able to work with those people, and we can actually go and do like a little mini seminar as to the process of buying homes. So again, I enjoy all of that. But the point is, being a 1099 worker, I had the flexibility to go meet with these agencies, to go and spend time with my son, to go and even take him with me. Can I say that? All right. My son was with me on these jobs. My son was with me when I would meet with clients. My son was with me when I would go to the properties to tour properties. My son was with me when I would go to do these presentations. Okay. All right. So for clients who did not like agents who have children, then I would let them know that I am not the agent for you. Because I had one person that say to me, is your child always with you? And I said, yes. Is that an issue for you? And they said, yes. I said, well, maybe I'm not the agent for you. Because like I said before, when it comes to my child and the job, my child is going to always win. Okay. So I worked with people either who they had children or who didn't mind my children being there. And it was fine. I still was able to have closings. Okay. All right. So, but the point is, being a 1099 worker, I'm still talking about the pros, gave me the flexibility to spend time with my child, gave me the flexibility to be there for my older child, to be at her school, gave me the flexibility to spend time with my husband, to be able to go out and meet other agencies, to connect with them. Because guess what? Real estate is a contact sport. You absolutely have to get out there and meet people. Okay. We also had networking groups that I would put together, business networking groups, right? And so that we could give business to other vendors that we appreciated, other title companies, other lenders, you know, other people like home inspectors, and then there were vendors that may be cleaning companies and real estate attorneys and reverse mortgage lenders and forward mortgage lenders, and it was people of all sorts. We had a good time doing that. But my son was right there with me and my daughter, right? Okay. You see? See, so that 1099 job gives me the flexibility to do all of those things. And then still, guess what? Another benefit is that there is no ceiling as to how much money you can make, at least in my field. Okay? There's no ceiling. I can make as much as I want or as minimal as I want. You see? You see, I don't have to choose to get rich, right? But I can make as much as I want and what we need to do. See, it's scalable. You know how many closings you need. You know how many people you need to meet. You know how many folks you need to stay in contact with so you can make so many. You know how many, I think if you saw my video about how to close 100 deals, it was addressed to realtors. Realtors, here's how you can close 100 deals. And it's all about how many people in your database that you stand in contact with. It's a mathematical problem, but it's a good problem. Okay? So you do that and you will close 100 deals, right? So in a year's time, in 12 months' time. So what I'm saying to you is that the flexibility, the scalability, you see, is excellent as a 1099 worker, at least in my field, okay, which I have been doing now for 23. In March, it'll be 23 years. Got my license January 28th of 2002. So I'm coming up on the time in which I got my license, but you have to affiliate with a brokerage firm. So I did not affiliate with a brokerage firm until March of 2002, which is why I use March instead of January. for my anniversary year. All right. So again, we're still talking about the pleasures and the benefits. Now, guess what? I don't have to ask anybody when it's time for me to go on vacation. I don't have to ask anybody if I just don't feel good that day. I don't have to ask anyone to take time off to be with my children. I don't have to ask anybody to go to their field trips, to be present for my children's needs, to be present for my husband's needs, to be present for our family's needs, to be present for my spiritual needs. I told you I have a ministry that I do. Okay? I can be there to have the Bible studies, to be there for my meetings, for my assemblies that I go to. I don't have to ask off for none of that. You see, because I'm my own boss, right? Being affiliated with a brokerage firm, they're not your supervisor. You are an independent contractor that you sign an independent contractor's agreement with, right? You see? So these are some of the other pros that we have being a 1099 worker. Okay? All right. So I do have that flexibility. I do feel wonderful. I absolutely great about. I'm gonna tell you, almost 23 years later, I still do not regret making that decision to be here, because the time that you spend with your family, you see, because they grow up so fast. The time you spend with them, it is priceless. You cannot put a dollar on how valuable that is. But when you are constantly at work and you are not there for your family, boy, do you miss a lot. You miss a lot of memories. You see, so there are a lot of pros to being a 1099 worker. So let's talk about the cons, though. You do need to be self-disciplined. You have to be self-disciplined. That's self-discipline to what? A business plan. You need to map out a business plan. How much do you need and want to make a year? And how do you scale that down to what you have to do each working day that you choose to work, right? And so if that is, with us, it's activities more so than anything. It's how many people did you talk to today and really care about today? How many people did you see? In my field, is how many people did you, it doesn't not necessarily have a real estate conversation with, no, because I'm not that kind of worker. I am not a transactional worker. I am a relationship real estate agent. Okay, so I'm about building relationships, showing interest in people, okay, caring about them, seeing how I can help them to reach their goal, to whatever it is they're trying to do. It don't even have to be real estate oriented, but I want to be a resource for them, you see, and trust and believe it. If you care about serving people, you will win every time in the real estate business. But if your mind is on when you'll get that next check, people know when you have commission breath or compensation breath versus whether or not you care about them. So again, it's not about how many people I ask, when do you plan on moving? No, I'm not asking that. No, I want to call people and sincerely be interested in them. And they know it. They know that when they hear from Unica V. Powell, she's seriously interested in them. And the thing about it, the law of reciprocity that is also in God's word, the Bible, it says that the measure that you're measuring out will be measured out to you in return. And it may not come from that person that you showed interest in. That's just the law of reciprocity, because you've been sprinkling I care about you attitude all around everywhere. Then people are going to think about you. Period. 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 So my day is full of just caring about people. Can you imagine that? Just call and care about folk all day. What a job. What a job. And then I get to come on YouTube and tell you all about these life experiences. That is so fulfilling to me. And as a result, being able to help others. That's so incredible. So incredible. You know? So I guess you can tell that I love my job even after 23 years. I love my job. So folks, please love what you do. Okay? So again, let's talk about the cons. So again, the cons is that, yeah, you got to be self-disciplined. Yeah, you do. And you got to do that schedule. Yes, you do. And you got to make that budget. I know, I know, I know. Yeah, you got to make the budget, folks. You got to figure out, okay, how much do I want to make? How much activities is that going to scale down for me to do a day? How many people am I going to have to talk to? And what does that equal for me? Because your ability to talk to folks will have a certain conversion rate than mine. Okay? And vice versa. You might be better than I am in converting, right? You see? But see, like I told you before, my mind is not thinking about conversion. My mind is thinking about how many people can I talk to show that I love them and care about them today. And what is it that they're working on in their household or in their life that I can help them with. That's what my mind is on. That's where I am. And they know that, right? So that's how I do my business, right? So the more people that I do that with, obviously the more people think about me, right? Again, it's a numbers game, period. It's just a numbers game, right? And again, like I said, watch my video about how to, close 100 deals if you're interested as to how I do that. Okay, that video will get into that. Okay, but in the meantime, we're still talking about you still need self-discipline. You still need to have a business plan. You still need to follow that business plan being self-controlled. That could be a con for a lot of people. Some people don't have self-discipline. Some people are used to Mr. Employer telling them what to do, when to be to work, what time they have to get off, what time they have to get on, what job they have to do. Some people just have to have those kind of people in their life to be over them, micromanaging what they do. But when you're self-employed, I'm sorry, nobody's going to do that for you, boo. Nobody. You have to do it. So if that's a problem for you, then being that for W-2 worker might be better for you. Again, so let's get back talking to more cons. Another con is that no. There's nobody that's going to pay your taxes for you. Excuse me. Nobody's going to pay your taxes for you. So at the end of the year, if you have not filed quarterly and filed your estimated taxes quarterly is every 3 months. April 1, July 1, October 1, January 1. If you have not filed your taxes, your estimated taxes quarterly, then you're going to owe a lump sum of money up against all that income that you made. So either you're going to open up a bank account, again, self-discipline, a separate bank account to put the money, if it's 25% for you tax rate, if it's 20% tax rate, whatever your tax rate bracket is, you put that money there every time you get paid. Well, that could be a problem for some people, to be able to put that money to the side. So either you're going to pay that money on a quarterly basis, all right, when you file your estimated taxes, or you're going to wait till the end of the year and have to pay that lump sum. But you need to have that money set aside. And no, you do not want to charge it on your credit card. Because now, not only do you have to pay that lump sum for federal and state taxes, but then you're going to have the interest rate from the credit card. That's not the way you want to do it. So set aside money from each and every paycheck that you get while you have it. While you have that money, set aside that 25% or whatever that percentage is for you, and put it into a separate bank account while the money's in your hand, and then use the rest for your business and another portion to pay yourself. Okay? Have success with that. But that could be a con for most people, that you do have to pay your own taxes. You also have to get your own health insurance. You also have to get your own solo 401k. Okay? There is nobody to match it for you. There is nobody to get it for you. You're going to have to do it yourself. You got to pay if you want money into Social Security, you're going to have to pay that yourself. You're right. Like I said, you got to pay your own state taxes, your own federal taxes, your own 401k plans. You see? So being a 1099 worker, you have to do all these things. You see? Do you have that kind of self-control? Are you able to be your own boss? Being your own CEO of your company takes responsibilities, takes self-discipline, takes commitment, takes dedication. Can you have it? Can you do it? Can you handle these cons? The other thing is that I don't know what kind of business that you do, right? But some businesses, if you're going to be a 1099 worker, require that you also going to either be a sole proprietor, LLC, a S corporation, C corporation, whatever it is you're going to have to do. You got to go through your local jurisdiction and register that business. And some require a basic business license also. And you have to get some insurance for that business. You see? You see? And that business needs to stay in good standing. Right? You see? And you have to open up a separate bank account for that business, because you cannot be commingling funds between your personal life and your business. Okay? So again, these are some of the other cons. Okay? With your company, ULLC, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So, and you need to have an idea of what you all are going to do in order to serve the community. You see, and be consistent at doing that in order to be able to continue to have funds coming in. You also going to have to fund your business. So I would not suggest that you leave your W-2 job if you do not have any funds, or capital as they call it, to put into your business. Okay? So if you're going to come out and be a 1099 worker, make sure that you have at least 12 months of expenses for your business and 12 months of expenses for your personal life put to the side in two separate accounts. One is for your business account, one is for your personal life, right? Of course, with your personal life, there's other buckets of bank accounts too, but I'm not getting into that today. But I'm giving you the principle, okay? Separate. Save over here 12 months of business expenses. Save over to your left 12 months of your emergency fund expenses for your basic living expenses. So that when you leave that W-2 job, you can win. You can win on that new business if you have these qualities that can be cons for many people. Okay? So I just wanted to take some time to let you all know, W-2 worker versus 1099 worker. Which one will you choose? So thank you for tuning in to Lessons Learned by Unica. And please remember to go watch that video. Even though it's addressed to realtors, how do you close 100 deals? Right? Also, you can also go and watch my video that I did, that I referenced earlier, also from foreclosure to making six figures. You can also look at that one too. Okay? So thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. You all have a good day, and I'll see you over in the next video. Bye-bye.